please remain standing and we will face the flag. Under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll stay standing as we do our welcome here. We welcome you, veterans, families and friends, faculty and staff and students to St. Croix's 11th a willingness to recognize you and to say thank you to the noble ways that you have served or are serving us today. So we're happy to honor those who serve and to thank God for his blessings on America. We continue by standing with respect to our country, facing our flag again, and joining in singing the National Anthem. You may be seated. Our first speaker, Ezra Bloomer, has served on the Student Council for 3 years, and this year is the student body president. An excellent scholar, Ezra is also involved in many volunteer activities, in addition to being a two-sport athlete and a fine musician. Ezra is still considering several universities to pursue a degree in business. To represent the student body to our veterans, would you please welcome Ezra Bloomer.
Thank you, Principal Gibson, for that introduction. I am honored and humbled to stand before so many amazing Americans today. Americans who created a standard to fight for what's right and defended our freedom at all costs. Thank you for coming to St. Croix Lutheran today so that we can have the opportunity to call you what you are, heroes. Veterans, students, faculty, and friends, allow me to take you back to the spring of 1943. The United States just entered World War II. A young 18-year-old boy from the small town of Watertown, Wisconsin, left all the comforts of his life and home and decided to join the fight. He knew his country needed his help and he was not afraid to answer the call to serve. His life had prepared him for this very moment. This young boy knew his fair share of adversity. At a young age, he had lost his mother from the fatal bite of a black widow spider. Later, at age 10, he was put into a foster home as his father simply could not make ends meet to keep all his brothers and sisters together. On top of it all, he had to endure the sudden death of his brother Kenneth after he was recklessly smashed into riding his bike home from work one day. Yes, this boy knew his fair share of adversity. All of his life experiences had prepared him for this very moment, and challenges hit him quicker than expected in the military. On his way to the war, he was placed on the military vessel, the Queen Mary. There, he was forced to live in severely cramped quarters among men who were terribly seasick from the voyage. He had to endure these terrible conditions for 17 days until the vessel reached Scotland, where he took a boat to England and was finally assigned to his post in France. He valiantly served 3 years in France as part of the Army Air Corps until he returned home in May of 1946, all along the way facing the same adversity that his childhood had prepared him for. Now, I have the utmost respect for this man, as without him I would not be standing before you today. He is my great-grandpa, Merle Zastro, who is now 94 years old and still lives in his hometown of Watertown, Wisconsin. Through the countless stories he has told me throughout the years, I've been able to gain a better understanding of what it takes to serve. The sleepless nights, the constant fear for life, the harsh conditions and physical toll, and finally, the time taken away from friends and family. All these things are necessary sacrifices that these heroes standing before us have given up for America. They have given years of their lives protecting our country so that we can enjoy the freedoms that we have today. They've put themselves in harm's way for us and have asked for nothing in return. They are the ultimate example of a true hero, and for this, they should receive the gratitude and thanks of a hero. Veterans, you have sacrificed more for me than I could ever imagine. Thank you on behalf of all of St. Croix Lutheran for the countless years of work, blood, sweat, and tears you have poured into our nation. Thank you for protecting the freedoms that we enjoy today. Finally, thank you for being the ultimate example of somebody that we can all aspire to be like. Thank you, veterans, for your service. Now, students, it is our duty as citizens of this great nation to hold veterans in the high place they deserve. Recognize the sacrifices that they have made for you. My encouragement for you, especially today, is to personally thank anybody who has served in the military. Acknowledge their sacrifices and let them know of the impact that their service has made in your life. Besides personally thanking veterans for their service, another way to show gratitude for our military, for their protection, is to take full advantage of the freedoms that they have fought for and won for you. Don't let the opportunities our nation offers go to waste. Recognize the amazing blessing that the freedom of religion is. Don't take it for granted. Be thankful every time you worship, knowing you can do so freely without the fear of being persecuted for your faith. When you're old enough, get out and vote. This is a freedom that they have won for you. Finally, be positive, active citizens in your community. Strive to make positive changes that will impact generations to come. To close, I want to show you veterans how much you mean to us here at St. Croix. So we have put together a video that represents the respect and love we have for you here. Please enjoy these personal thank yous from students and faculty of St. Croix. To all the veterans, thank you for your service, and may God bless our great nation.
I'm Gabriel Harris, and I'm a senior.
My name is Catherine Belke, and I am a senior.
My name is David Milkey, and I teach biology and coach girls varsity basketball here.
Hi, my name is Maddie. This is my dad, and I go here.
I'm Nate Calise. I'm the middle school principal.
I'm Lorna Kapanki, and I'm a teacher.
My father, who was in the Marines, served about 8 to 10 years and was a corporal.
My brother Zach, who graduated 2 years ago from here, last year went into the Army National Guard, and he is currently still serving.
My brother Christopher Calise served in the United States Navy for 6 years.
My mom and dad, they were both in the Army.
My brother is currently serving in the Army National Guard, and my dad was a Marine for a long time.
My husband, Jason Kapanke, served in the United States Army for 4 years, and my son, Garrett, currently serves in the Minnesota National Guard.
Brother's service impacted me by reminding me that service is important to your country, and doing things outside of yourself is an important part of life.
All these people are giving up maybe not their lives at the moment, but they're giving up their lives in a different sense. They're giving up their time. They're giving up time with their family, with their friends to pursue their career. They're giving all this up for their country.
It really taught me to live a life to serve others, to kind of be humble and work hard, not for the benefit of just myself, but for others.
He showed me that service to others was more important than myself.
Like all other service people, that moment where they sign on the dotted line, because ultimately they don't know what that means, but they're willing to make whatever sacrifice is needed to fulfill their duty.
I'd like to say thank you to my brother and my dad, especially my brother who is currently serving. But to both of them, thank you very much, and I love you both.
You are amazing, and you are so brave, and I look up to you in every way, and even more now that you're doing this.
Thank you to our veterans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
We've done this next song, Salute to America's Finest, at several of our Veterans Day celebrations. Veterans, please stand when your service branch song is played by our own St. Croix Band. Our guest speaker for today has served his country in a variety of roles, as you can see from his biography. His distinguished service in the Air Force supported his country during the Gulf War, both in front and behind the scenes. He's also been actively involved in the churches he's attended. Currently, he leads a corps of Christian volunteers in the organization Kingdom Workers. His support for these volunteers helped them to share the love of Jesus in many ways. Chad attended a Lutheran high school similar to St. Croix. Because of all of his experiences, we are proud to have him as our guest speaker. Would you please welcome Chad Elwine? Should be ready. Thank you.
Good morning. I promised Mr. Schold I will keep this under 45 minutes. If you are a veteran, would you please stand? If you are a spouse, mother, father, brother, sister, any relative of veteran, would you please stand? If you know someone who is a veteran, would you please stand? If you know anyone who is currently serving in the military, would you please stand? For those of you who are still sitting, look around you. If you know anyone in this gymnasium, please stand. Little test, but it reminds us all of how close we actually are to our veterans and our military members. We all have a bond. We all live in this great country, or we are currently living in this great country. So when we go and we talk to our veterans and our military members, just remember that each one of you can make a difference, whether that's big or small. That's how close we are. Thank you. You can please sit down. What would school be if you didn't have a pop quiz? So today, I got a 3-question pop quiz for you. This is participative, so please go ahead and shout out your answer if you know it. First question. Before Veterans Day became Veterans Day, what was it called? Very good. It was called Armistice Day. Second question. Why was the name changed to Veterans Day? Yep, that gentleman hit it. The reason it was is because Armistice Day was in honor and recognition of World War I vets. As you know, we've had other wars beyond World War I, and a certain president decided that he needed to honor and recognize all veterans for their service. So in 1954, they changed that name to Veterans Day. Last question. Who was that president? President Eisenhower. So again, all the veterans, you passed your pop quiz. So I appreciate that. We have the ability to really look at what a veteran is. I always want to make sure that I'm on the right screen, so bear with me a little bit. When I was preparing for this presentation, I asked myself the question, what is a veteran to me? So take a few seconds. In one word, identify in your mind what a veteran means to you. One word, what is a veteran to you? To me, it meant the following definitions, and there will be 3 of them that come up there. It's a person who performs duties for others. I think that hits a veteran pretty well. Second one is it is a devoted and helpful follower or supporter. And then the last one is a person who is devoted to or guided by something. Those are actual definitions online, Webster's Dictionary, wherever you want to go, but those are the definitions when I looked up the word that I thought hit a veteran. The word servant. If you guys thought of that, awesome. If you other ones, I'm sure they fit the bill too. But I think it really reminds everybody of what a veteran is. They are servants, and they've done a lot of service. So let me ask you a question. How can all of us in this room, students, faculty, veterans, everybody else, how can we provide service? Service is a really important fact in our life, and we can provide service. Let me just give you a few examples, small examples. How many of us could open up a door for somebody at the local hospital or going into Cub Foods or even at St. Croix? Small gesture, right? But boy, does it make a difference. How many of us could go, take 2 hours on a Saturday morning and go to feed my starving children and pack meals for 2 hours and then send them over to Ethiopia or wherever? If we're on a team, how many of us could put team in front of self? And what is best for the team is best for the team, and I will work toward that goal. So those are just some ways that we can provide service, just like our veterans have provided service to us. I'm going to show you something. Look at this screen up above when you take the word veteran, and look what happens as I hit this. Uh-oh. It's pretty cool. When I was preparing for this presentation, servant came to my mind right away. It wasn't until I was actually thinking about it and I was writing down some of the things I was going to talk about in this speech, and I was like, boy, oh boy, there's a V, there's an E, there's an R. I didn't think it was going to happen. So I literally had to do it twice on a 8.5 by 11 legal pad, and it came out. When you think of veterans, think of servant. That's what we are. I'm a football fan, and this next gentleman you're going to see up on the screen is a guy by the name of Vince Lombardi. I am not a Green Bay Packer fan, though. They are very close to the river, St. Croix, so I have to be a little careful as I go through this next little spiel here, okay? So Vince Lombardi was a great football coach. He had a number of really good sayings. But if you're from Minnesota like I am, he's a villain. Anything associated with the Green Bay Packers is villainous. And every villain has to have a hero, right? Well, here's my hero. So getting back to Mr. Lombardi. Mr. Lombardi had a lot of good sayings, and he had actually a mantra as well. His mantra was faith, family, and football. I think he had 2/3 of that correct. I think he had the faith and the family. I think he actually had them in the right order as well, as I'm sure you all do. But I think the one thing that he had wrong was the last one. In my mind, we should all be here for faith, family, and service. So make sure you look for those opportunities to serve. Every time I go to a presentation or hear a speaker, I always want to do a takeaway, at least one takeaway, something that's really important to me that I go home and I either implement it in my professional life or my personal life. I want to give you a few takeaways. Take them for what they're worth. Maybe they will make a difference. First takeaway. When you see or hear that you are talking to a veteran, or you see Mr. Morris there in his BDUs, take a minute, shake their hand, and say, thank you for your service. Those 5 words are the most powerful words that a veteran can hear, in my opinion. I still get chills and goosebumps when somebody I am talking to finds out that I'm a veteran and they have the respect and just the awareness to say thank you for your service. Second one, attend a Memorial Day tribute on Memorial Day. That is a moving experience. As you all know, Memorial Day is for those who have given the ultimate sacrifice and the ultimate service with their lives. Go to a Memorial Day service. It will help. Third one, look for opportunities to serve in veterans' life. We have a VA hospital very close to us. You probably have a veteran down the street. Look for opportunities to visit with them. Maybe they need their snow shoveled, and that's coming very soon. The last one is serve any way you can. Look for opportunities to serve. Service is great. It not only helps the person you're serving, but it really helps you as well. It makes you feel good. You make a difference in somebody's life. So please look for opportunities to serve. I'd like to say thank you to St. Croix for inviting me to present. This really has truly been an honor. It reminds me of why I served for 6 years in the Air Force. It really was an honor. So let's always make sure that we remember our veterans, remember our current military members, pray for them often. Prayer is very important. And finally, I would like to say, veterans, thank you for your service.
Chad, thank you for pointing out the very important emphasis on servants and servant leadership and service. And by the way, thank you for your service. Irving Berlin started the song God Bless America while he fought in World War I. He finished the song in 1938 as he saw waves of Jewish German immigrants arriving in the United States as they were fleeing Hitler's regime. It's been popular ever since. Listen as the choirs perform God Bless America. Thanks again to all who served, and we're especially proud of our alumni who are veterans. If we have any alumni, or you know of any alumni who are serving, and you don't think that we are aware of it, please make sure that you let our school office know that. I also am very happy every time that we choose to do this next song because it reminds me of Pikes Peak, and I've visited there in Colorado several times. And the reason it reminds me is the first time that I had to introduce this song, I looked it up and looked the background, and Catherine Bates, who wrote the words, was inspired while she was on Pikes Peak in Colorado. We too are grateful to our Lord for the wonderful and beautiful country that he has given us. Before we sing, I'd like to say thank you to the people who worked so hard to put this together, especially Jackie Olson, Chris Leverance, the music department, Chris Mackey, Dave Tess, Josh Gorski, Mark Kaiser, Paul Wine, our maintenance staff, and those St. Croix students who are involved. We'll now sing America the Beautiful. You'll see the directions for us to join the choirs. After the song, the flag bearers will lead our veterans out. Veterans and families, as you follow them out and head outside of the gym, will you please turn to the left and gather outside by the Crusader? It's right outside this wall. And then eventually we'll have you come back in where we'll have your picture taken here in the bleachers. Please stand now and join in our song. You are asked to join in the refrain. Please remain standing.